Record, share. Yeah. I almost did a double lesson today and I did not. I'm really, really glad in hindsight. I do this a lot lately. I look at the lesson and I think, oh, we're going to get all of this done. And then I realize, tone it down. And then I'm always really glad when I do, because I feel like I have a tendency to bite off more than I can chew when it comes to this kind of stuff. So today is 3/21, the first full day of spring. Isn't that nice?
Swag.
That's swag. That's drippy. We're going to call this. Uh-oh.
Happy birthday, Mr. Rayhard.
Thank you. Do we have to do birthday selfie? Let me pause my recording really quickly. Oh, good. All right, chaos over. We can resume. So yeah, let's get to it. We're going to learn today by just doing examples, and again, we'll have much better examples this time around. I have 7 of them in the queue. I don't know if we'll need all 7, but you'll have a Delta Math assignment, and every single problem will be of the same sort of type. There's not going to be any like trickeration here. So here comes the first one. I guess I'll let you copy it down. So we would read that as the quantity 9x to the negative 4th y squared closed quantity to the power of 5 halves. Okay. So let's get to it. We know from having already taken a quiz on the properties, just a basic properties of exponents quiz, that when there's an exponent outside of a quantity like this, that the exponent goes in and becomes the exponent of all the things inside the quantity. So there's going to be a little bit of 4th grade mathy stuff that's going to get in the way here. So watch out. And I will, of course, explain how I got this as I write this down. But the first thing is going to be 9 to the 5 halves. That is not 4th grade math. But then this next part is times x to the negative 10th. And then times y to the 5th. Now, we have no choice as you copy that into your notebook, but to have the discussion of, I mean, and lots of people might want to know, and only a few are brave enough to ask, how did you get negative 10? Go ahead. I didn't.
You did it.
No. Belair? I did. So what's going to happen here, I'm going to color code this for you. This number, if I were sitting in my own class, I'd want to know where that came from. And here's where it came from. X had a pre-existing exponent of negative 4. And we raised it up to the power of 5 halves, which means, based on our properties of exponents, that we have to multiply. Right? And then there's some basic skills that kick in, things you just know. What do you have to do with that negative 4? You got to put it over 1, right? Good basics. You got to, if you're going to multiply stuff, then everyone has to play by the same rules. Fractions need to play with other fractions. And then, like Blair said, I can cancel and then multiply. There's a lot of different ways to talk about this, but really, what's 4 times 5?
Well,
20, and 1 times 2 is 10. Right? You divide it out. 20 divided by 2 is 10, and that's where the negative 10 came from. You follow? And it being, we're in high school now, that I would expect that we can probably navigate little problems like this relatively quickly. Let's talk about this one. Where did I get the 5? Yes, I did. I did 2 times 5 over 2, and then I just canceled out those 2's, hence the 5. So we can talk about that more. I don't mind. I just would like you to be aware that if that's the part that's getting to you, let me help you. Like, come work with me and I'll try to clarify for you what's going on there. But it really is just a basic multiplication problem. What's up?
So on the negative 4 times 5 halves, can we do the 4 and the 2 cancel?
Yeah, we could have thought of it that way. So like, instead of doing it that way, yes, we could have taken this 4 and this 2 and reduced the 4 down to a 2 and the 2 down to a 1. We're still going to get negative 10, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
so you can reduce and then multiply, the little hook thing we've been talking about, or you can just multiply and reduce later. With numbers like this, they're going to save you time either way. All right, so let's talk about then what's the final answer of this problem going to be? Well, the final answer to the problem is going to wind up being 243 y to the 5th over x to the 10th. Right? It is. It's pretty simple, assuming you can do some basic things for me. So let's talk again. There are people in the room right now that want to know what happened and they're too embarrassed to ask. So let's help them out here. First off, let's talk about the yellow and the blue. Why did the y to the 5th stay on top? Because its exponent is positive, right? And then, of course, the x moved because his exponent is negative, right? So we got that down. And then the question from last week, this is why we practice, is where did I get 243? Well, I'm going to put a little circle around this 2. What does that 2 mean to do?
Reduces the 9 to 3.
It tells you to take a second root. We also often call that a square root of 9. And then what does this 5 that I'm circling in yellow up here, what does he tell me to do? To raise to the 5th power. And so then I just do this all in my head or with a cheat sheet like the powers table, whatever. What's the square root of 9? 3 to the 5th?
243.
Blammo. And that's what we do. All right. All right. Well, I hope that you feel that way in a half an hour, because I don't think it's going to change. Let's do the next one. And I'm going to keep it. I was going to mix it up. I'm going to keep it the same. So as far as steps, I would do it the same way I did it last time, and then we can go as fast as we want from there. So I'm going to begin by taking the 125 and giving it the power of 5/3. And then I'm going to take the x. And again, I just liked, in my perfect world, this next thing happens, boom, boom, boom. Like we don't even hesitate. What's the power of x going to be? Yes, -40. And what's the power of y going to be? +30. And you and your brain can do some pretty remarkable things, right? It's like, so to get the x, I know what Cooper's doing back there. He's not dividing 120 by 3. He's doing the 24, hooking it down by the 3. 24 divided by 3 is 8, and then he's grabbing that and multiplying it into the 5, right? That's what we do. So good. And then from this point, the answer can happen now as quickly as you want. Let's practice our mental math. What does this 3 that I'm circling mean to do? It's the flavor. It's the cube root of what's the cube root of 125? And what is 5 raised up to the 5th power? It's big. 3,125. So our final answer is 3125. You're on top, of course, because your exponent's positive. Who else is on top? And then over. Good. Any questions so far?
How did you get 31 from 2001?
Because the red 3 that I have circled told me to make a cube root of 125.
Okay.
And then the 3 that's circled, or the 5 that's circled in yellow, is a power. So Cash, what we know is that the cube root right there of 125 is 5. You agree with that?
Yeah.
And then if we raise that 5 up to the 5th power, if you look like either in your powers table or your notes or your calculator, that's what 5 to the 5th is.
Okay.
Better? Okay. Great job asking a question. I know that you generally do, but thank you for that. Let's do 32, x to the -25, y to the +20. And all of that is going to be raised to the power of -3/5. My first step isn't going to change. So if you would at any point want to hurry me along, you're not going to succeed at that. My first step is always going to be to take that exponent and feed it into everybody, and then I'll deal with it from there. So 32 is the proud new owner of this shiny little exponent. So he's now 32 to the -3/5. And then x is to what power?
15.
Positive 15, well done. And y is to what power? Excellent basics, beautiful basics. Now, this is the part that I don't know. I didn't really leave it out, this exact type of example, but this is the part that I think I took for granted. So can we agree, all of us, that x to the 15th is going to stay? But we can also all agree that this and this are both going to move downstairs, right?
Yeah.
And so the math is still going to happen downstairs. The x to the 15th is going to stay on top. Yeah, if your question is, can you shut the door? The answer is, please shut the door. Yes. There's some chaos happening across the hall. It's absolute bedlam. Yeah.
End up with a negative base like -3, and then you have a positive exponent. Can you take the negative at the exponent instead of the
No. Great question, but absolutely wholeheartedly no. No chance. Anyhow, so what's happening now is you'll notice I put the x to the 15th on top, and I'm going to go ahead and put the y to the 12th on bottom. And now I'm just kind of in a waiting pattern now to see what in the world's going on with this 32 guy. So yeah, it's definitely 8. Good job there, Tristan. That was quick. And so what's happening is I'm still doing the 5th root of 32 and raising it to the 3rd power. What's of importance, though, is that I'm doing it in the bottom of a fraction, right? And good job again, Tristan. What's the 5th root of 32, folks? 2 to the 3rd.
8.
And that's why, bam, final answer. Still good? Okay. Josie, okay, kid? What are you looking at? What do you need a ruler for? What do you say? Oh, YOLO, freehand. Let's do this one. Once you start getting really, really good, I think probably 7 or 8 problems into the assignment, you might start getting on a roll, and there are some steps that you might be able to start skipping, which is pretty cool. In the meantime, not this guy. So I'm going to give the exponent to everybody, and it's going to be 64 to the power of -1/2. And then you guys seem to be really doing, now mind you, from where I sit, if I hear 6 people answer it correctly, my brain goes, bing, everybody's got it. But I need to make sure. Does everybody know why we're about to say x to the -4th? So are we all familiar or in understanding why that is? Okay, so for my power of x, it is -4. What's my power of y going to be? Nice, you guys. And this one I left out of the lesson, and really this is kind of what sparked my whole delete the video, try again later thing, was someone said, what do I do when everything's negative exponent? Well, move everything down, and what stays on top? 1. You guys are amazing. Yes. So in a case like this, everything is going to the basement. Everything. And the 1 has to now sit up there and say, well, I'll hold this fort together while you guys all go down. So when the 64 goes downstairs, he becomes just a normal square root of 64, which is 8. Very good. And then we have x to the 4th and y to the 7th. What do you guys think? You good?
Yeah.
There's more examples, but at this point, I feel like it's going to be more of the same. So I think I've covered it. I hope, fingers crossed, that I've covered it. The assignment on Delta Math should have auto-assigned itself about 10 minutes ago. It ought to be there. Assignment number 60, maybe?
Yeah, it's, I was the one.